I'm Autism. I'm a student at UC Berkeley, major in psychology, minor in disability studies.
The title of my talk is Autism, the Search for Restorative Sleep. This talk is an outreach project for my Psychology of Sleep course at UC Berkeley. Professor Matt Walker, who teaches this course, is a professor of neuroscience and psychology at UC Berkeley, the director of the Center for Human Sleep Science, and a former professor of psychiatry at Harvard. He is one of the leading sleep researchers in the world. That's Professor Walker, pretending to sleep. And my shirt says I'm very sleepy. Kind of really appropriate as this talk is all about sleep. I also wanted to present what I have learned in this course from an autism insider perspective, as I have struggled with sleep issues, as have many of my peers on the spectrum. Most of the material for this presentation is from his course and his book. Check it out. It's a great read. My talk is organized as follows. I will start with the sleep-wake cycle process. The sleep-wake cycle has two mechanisms. Circadian rhythm, or process C, is the blue line in the graph. Sleep pressure, or process S, is the red line. Notice how there is a slight lag between the two lines. Let's start with circadian rhythm. We all have an internal clock SCN, or the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This clock synchronizes our internal biology to the 24-hour sun cycle. In the case of sleep, SCN informs the brain of light and dark through the release of melatonin. It's a feedback loop to reset the sleep-wake cycle. As our circadian rhythm increases, our drive to be awake increases. That is, there is less melatonin. Melatonin secretion usually begins 2 to 3 hours before we sleep and stays high through the night. Incidentally, melatonin only times the body for sleep. It does not initiate or generate sleep. Chemicals that help with actual sleep are norepinephrine, serotonin, and acetylcholine. An important aspect of the circadian rhythm is the core body temperature. The core body temperature needs to decrease by 2 to 3 degrees in order to sleep. That's why it's easier to fall asleep in a cool room than a hot room. Our face, hands, feet are the body's best radiating devices and dump heat before sleeping. Thus, washing your face or hot baths dissipate heat from the surface of the skin, cooling the core. That's why you also stick your foot out of the blanket, sometimes at night. The cells that detect temperature is right next to the SCN, so add to the initiation of melatonin production. So, both lack of light and drop in temperature help invite sleep. Another aspect of circadian rhythm is the timing, and I want to start by explaining what a chronotype is. Chronotype is the differences in individual circadian rhythm. For instance, some people are larks or morning people while others are owls or evening people. I also want to point to findings which indicate that medication timings do matter. For instance, that blood pressure meds more effective in the morning, when blood pressure is highest. Cancer drugs are more effective at certain times of day. Extending this reasoning, we should rethink autism supplementation timing according to individual chronotype. The goal, after all, should be good restorative sleep rather than a strict adherence to societal sleep and wake times. There were findings in autism in circadian rhythm disruption. Circadian rhythms are weaker as there was a flatter profile of melatonin rather than the big increase at night and rapid fall during the day. That is, day is less light and night is less dark. Now let's look at the other sleep-wake mechanism, process S or sleep pressure. During the day, when you are awake, there is a buildup of adenosine, which increases the drive to sleep. At night, while asleep, adenosine dissipates, which decreases sleep pressure. Caffeine can affect your sleep, as caffeine competes for adenosine receptors, so there is less sleep pressure. And caffeine can stay up to 8 hours in the body. We now move on to sleep architecture. We experience different sleep stages when we sleep. You go into REM sleep, followed by NREM stages 1 through 4. Stages 3 and 4 of NREM is also called slow-wave sleep. In humans, sleep consists of well-defined, approximately 90 minutes, cycles that alternate between REM and NREM. There is also more NREM sleep earlier in the night, and more REM sleep later in the night. Different neurotransmitters also dominate at different sleep stages. I won't go into details. Essentially, the different sleep stages have important functions in terms of memory, learning, emotion regulation and coping with trauma. Studies show a shortage of REM sleep in autistics. A 30 to 50% deficit. Since REM sleep contributes to neural wiring in the developing brain, the question is if REM sleep deficiency contributes to autism. REM-deprived rats become more socially withdrawn, even as adults. I recently attended a webinar by Dr. Ashura Buckley, autism sleep researcher at NIH. Some points from her talk about why there could be less REM. Less REM in autism could be due to the deficit in the cholinergic system. Brain organizing differently in terms of neurotransmitters. And other medical co-conditions in play. Other findings indicate that the total amount of sleep itself is less in autism. There are correlates with social skills and communication deficits. We now move on to pharmacology. The issue is that a good number of autistics are on sleep medication or behavior medication that promote sleep. All that these sleeping pills and meds like sedative hypnotics do is to knock out your higher cortex. The result is non-restorative sleep as it lacks deep brain waves and daytime drowsiness. In animal studies, natural sleep solidified memory connections. On the other hand, sleep-inducing medications caused a 50% weakening of memory connections. There was also altered risk of infection. In addition, withdrawal from these drugs could themselves cause sleep disturbances. There are parallels to my own sleep with mood medications. Technically, I sleep for 5 to 7 hours a night. But my sleep feels fragmented and not deep. There are frequent awakenings at the slightest noise. It often feels like only the first 1 to 2 hours are restful. I have morning irritability. So my sleep is far from restorative and restful. I experience daytime drowsiness and have fallen asleep in lecture. Obviously, this is not a happy state of affairs for me. Melatonin is used to help circadian disruptions like jet lag, shift work disorder, as it can help phase advance your internal clock. It is a commonly tried supplement in autism. Unfortunately, melatonin has not worked for me. It would work for a couple of nights, and then it was like my body got used to it and it would no longer work. The thing is that melatonin is more about the circadian system than sleep pressure system. Studies also show that over-the-counter melatonin is no better than placebo for sleep onset and sleep quality. An issue could be that melatonin content is highly variable across OTC brands. It can range from 100% less to 500% more melatonin across brands. There is also variability within bottles of the same brand, from 1% to 200%. Let's now look at a couple of research-backed sleep interventions. DCS, or direct current stimulation, is a non-invasive neurostimulation using low levels of direct current to stimulate specific parts of the brain. In studies, DCS amplified slow-wave sleep in the prefrontal cortex, which enhances consolidation of declarative memory and memory recall. A medical implication is hope for aging and dementia. By extension, hope for better sleep for some with autism as well. Another intervention is cognitive behavior therapy for insomnia, or CBT. This therapy is growing in popularity. It builds on basic sleep hygiene, plus methods customized for the individual and their lifestyle. A seemingly counterintuitive CBTI suggestion is to restrict the person's time in bed at the start to just 6 hours a night to help build up sleep pressure, adenosine, which will lead to more stable sleep across the night later on. We now come to our last section on strategies to promote restful sleep. I came up with an acronym to help you easily remember these strategies. RESTful. Restful is not a commonly used word in English and does not have a widely recognized definition. But to me, it seems to suggest a process of restoring rest in our search for restorative sleep. The R is for a relaxing activity before bedtime. Don't lie awake in bed anxious that you are not getting to sleep. Get up and do a relaxing activity till you feel sleepy. For some autistics, this may involve sensory cues and communication cues. Examples are music, white noise machine, fan noise, pleasant aroma, massage, weighted blankets, pillows, sleep stories, a reward system, etc. The E is exercise. Exercise is linked to increased NREM sleep, increased total sleep time, deeper sleep, faster sleep onset, and more powerful brainwave activity. Exercise leads to better sleep and a better mood. However, try not to exercise too close to bedtime. Should be at least 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. This is because body temperature is high for 1 to 2 hours after exercise. The S is for to follow a sleep schedule. Follow the same wake and sleep times consistently all 7 days of the week. You cannot have a different sleep-wake weekend schedule, else it's like subjecting your body to jet lag every weekend. The T is for temperature. The bedroom where you sleep should be cool. You need to drop your current bedroom temperature by 3 to 5 degrees. Ideal bedroom temperature is around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. The core body temperature also needs to decrease. I mentioned earlier that our face, hands, feet are the body's best radiating devices. So, a hot bath, or washing face, hands and feet before bedtime, helps dissipate heat from the surface of the skin and decrease core body temperature. Y is for the things to avoid. Avoid naps after 3 p.m., as you don't want to drain the buildup of adenosine, which helps with sleep pressure. Avoid caffeinated foods later in the day. Be aware that caffeine is also present in decaf products, chocolate, ice cream, frozen yogurt, pudding, hot cocoa. Avoid large meals and beverages late at night. Large meals can cause indigestion. Fluids can lead to more nighttime awakenings for urination. L is for lighting, both during the day and night. Daylight is key to regulating sleep patterns. So we should get at least 30 minutes of sun exposure during the day. At night, the bedroom should be dark. The bedroom should also be gadget-free, with no TV, laptops, iPad, phones, etc. No clocks either, as clock watching can increase anxiety. I hope some of these strategies will be of use and can help ease some of the issues around sleep and promote overall health. The search for restorative sleep in autism is still ongoing. There are many physiological issues and permutations and combinations that we have not fully understood. In the meantime, I and too many of my peers continue to have sleep issues which significantly impacts our quality of life. As an autistic, I am concerned that in the nearly 2.5 decades of my life, medical research still has not made a dent into this issue, even as the thousands of autistics with sleep issues continue to grow into adulthood and old age. Sleep-deprived autistics are all going to be very unhealthy middle-aged autistics soon, and then unhealthy old-age autistics as well. Our quality of life is going to decrease even further. I'm also frustrated that again and again, medication, especially the use of psychotropic medication, is seen as the primary band-aid quick fix for many of our issues. All these come with health side effects. There is real urgency to this sleep research in autism, and I hope to see real solutions in my lifetime at least. This brings me to the end of my talk. Thank you for listening. I want to end with a quote from His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Sleep is the best meditation.